From navigating Singapore's classrooms to charting the unpredictable waters of Southeast Asia, Sense of Independence has redefined what it means to live on her own terms. After a life reset in her late 30s, she discovered financial independence and semi-retired at 43, trading full-time work for the freedom to explore, learn, and live deliberately. While her fire journey is inspiring on its own, in this interview, we focus on her life on the water, a topic close to my own heart. Alongside her partners, she now spends months living abroad in their sailboat, journeying through remote islands, snorkeling in crystal clear waters, and mastering the art of minimalist living. Sailing for her is more than just adventure, but it is also a lens through which she learned patience, resilience, and the quiet joys of simplicity. In this conversation, she shares the lesson of living offshore, the logistics of boat life, and how embracing the open seas has shaped a perspective on freedom, happiness, and choice. You have become quite an inspiration in the Singapore Fire community throughout your student journey as Sense of Independence. Could you share how you first got into personal finance, what drew you to the idea of financial independence, and how you and your partner worked towards that goal together?
After I went through my divorce in 2017, I decided that I wanted to reset my life and live my best life from there on. I was 38 years old then. One aspect I looked at was my finances. At that point, I only had 50,000 savings in my bank. Some 39-year-old guy called SG Fire already have 2 million and retired early. So I started with credit cards, churning and investing in SGX. Eventually, I discovered the concept of FIRE by reading FIRE blogs like Mr. Money Mustache and gave myself a timeline to retire by 55 because I could not imagine working in the same job till 65. I was an educator at that time and I gave a lot of myself to the teaching industry. I was working 10 hours every day and going home feeling exhausted and drained. I tried picking up new skills but never stuck to any because I was just too tired or had to concentrate on work. Then COVID happened in 2020. During the 2 months that I worked from home, I felt alive. I was not exhausted from traveling or teaching, and I had a lot of free time to pursue projects that I never had the time for. In 2021, I started dating my current partner. Aside from his job, he sails, surfs, plays instruments, and also makes wooden furniture. I was pretty ashamed of myself. We were around the same age, and I only knew how to teach and watch K-drama. So finally, I felt the need to leave my job sooner rather than at the age of 55. When I finally hit 1 million in liquid net worth in 2022, I decided to quit my teaching job and semi-retire, also known as Coast Fire, at the age of 43 years old. Today, I teach 10 hours a week in an online setting. Even though I have a partner, we keep our finances separate. We do share costs like meals and movies when we are together, but we do not control or support each other's spending. That said, I have contributed to the cost of sailing by buying some equipment. This is what it's like when two financially stable people start dating in their 40s.
One of the most fascinating parts of the story is that after leaving full-time work, you and your partner didn't just settle into a slower life. You actually went offshore. You spent time sailing together. What inspired that adventure? How long were you out at sea? And what was the experience like, logistically, emotionally, and mentally?
My current partner discovered his love for sailing at the age of 17, but it wasn't till he was 42 years old that he finally owned his own boat. His dream was to cruise around Southeast Asia and live on the boat. We started dating after I begged him to bring me onto his boat to try fishing, after which he taught me how to sail. Due to COVID restrictions, we only sailed and fished in Singapore once a week for the first 2 years. When sea restrictions were lifted in 2023, we made our first 10-day overseas trip to Pulau Tioman in Malaysia. It was a perfect trip, and I became enamored with snorkeling. The waters were so clear, and the marine life was abundant. In December 2024, we planned to sail to Phuket. This ended up being a 4-month affair because the sailing conditions were poor and the boat needed massive repairs. So we ended up spending most of our time in a boatyard in Malaysia instead of sailing on to Phuket. But our stay there was fruitful because we made several boating friends and learned more about cruising from them. Every month we did visa runs and shuttle between different parts of Malaysia, Thailand and Singapore to check on repairs, visit friends and sail on friends' boats. All the way I continued to teach 10 hours a week online during weekends. The travel fatigue was real. Sailing life is not as glamorous as it seems unless you are a multi-millionaire. When we are not sailing, we are either cleaning the boat or making repairs. The wear and tear of the boat can be worse than a car due to the harsh conditions of the sea. And in Singapore, it's not so cheap to procure boat parts or get a decent and affordable mechanic. We are also highly dependent on the weather. A thunderstorm could make the journey miserable, so we may stay anchored to wait out the bad weather. In August 2025, we set off to Anumbas in Indonesia. We prepared enough food, water, and diesel for 30 days. We bought backups of some important engine parts, as it would be tough to replace them on the remote islands. Every time we get to a port town, we make sure to replenish food, water, and diesel. Portable snacks and canned food is very important, as some legs of the sailing trip can be as long as 30 hours, and it can be quite difficult to cook on a bobbing boat. So far, I am rather happy. The boat is working fine, the weather is mostly good. We anchor in peaceful and remote islands and snorkel to our heart's content in clear waters and beautiful coral. Instead of doom scrolling, we are reading books, cooking our next meal, having a nap, etc. I am still deathly afraid of storms, but I am determined not to let that fear control me.
What was the very first time you set foot on a sailboat like for you? Did it feel exhilarating, scary, or both?
The common reasons why Singaporeans hate sailing are they get seasick. There is too much sun. My first sailing trip was to Lazarus Island in Singapore. This was the first time I sailed continuously for a few hours. Previously, my boyfriend only motored to nearby fishing spots. Sad to say, I wasn't scared, but I felt seasick. But I managed the seasickness by looking at the scenery and munching on snacks. I never quite get over the seasickness, especially when the boat becomes too bobby, but I have come a long way. Today, I can cook and read and type my answers to interview questions on a boat. Lazarus Island was beautiful that day, and the sunset we saw was forever stuck in my memories. It was a setting sun veiled behind shower curtain of rain. This was probably the point where I fell in love with sailing, because you get to see a side of nature that normal people usually can't.
Living on a boat is one of the ultimate exercises in minimalism. How did that experience shape your views on possessions, daily routines, and what you truly need to be happy? Did it reinforce or challenge your fire mindset?
We have to be extremely minimalistic and resourceful. For a 1-month trip to Anumbas, I only packed 5 sets of clothing. Water is precious. We save water by bathing with rainwater and minimizing the number of plates used for our meals. We also wear the same set of clothes a few times. Even then, we average 70 liters of water per week, as the water tank only holds 300 liters. Electricity is also precious. Our luxuries are a fridge and Nespresso machine. I also run the Starlink satellite on weekends so that I have roaming data to conduct my online lessons on a remote island. We replenish the electricity using the diesel engine and solar panels. In a remote island where there is no 4G signal, we only turn on the Starlink for 1 hour a day. While sailing has taught me to be extremely minimalistic, it doesn't mean that I would not try to get more creature comforts if possible. Next up is possibly a water maker so that we do not have to worry about the lack of water in remote areas. I am also eyeing an Insta360 camera so that I can capture the beautiful coral and marine life while snorkeling. So while we save a lot of money in terms of food, we still spend quite a lot in equipment for the boat. Interacting with boaters from different parts of the world has taught me that happiness is a mindset. All these boaters are pursuing their happiness in the form of sailing and exploring. They are not all retired. Some are working remotely or during certain parts of the year. No one cares for a condo or car or early retirement. They are already in their place of happiness. When we returned to Singapore, I realized that most of my friends are unhappy to a certain extent, mostly being worried about their work and the cost of living. To me, happiness means being with my loved ones, being healthy, doing what I enjoy, and being surrounded by nature. And sailing definitely played a part in helping me realize this. Right now, I appreciate being semi-retired, as this means that I have a source of income to pay for stuff that I never anticipated. For example, when I planned for FIRE in 2022, I never imagined that I would be spending money to buy batteries and solar panels for the boat. I have also been spending money to learn new skills such as diving, pottery. That said, I still hope to fully retire one day so that I have complete control over my time. But in the meantime, I am not going to let anything stop me from doing what I wish to do.
What has been your favorite destination so far and why?
It has to be Anumbas so far. I love being on a remote island, snorkeling, cooking, reading, and relaxing while being surrounded by nature. The people are also friendly. Today we approached a squid boat and asked to buy their catch. Instead, they gave us a packet of fresh baby squid for free. In return, we gave them some snacks. At the fishing village, everyone smiled at us and asked where we came from. Their pet cats are fat, sleek, and healthy, a sign of a happy village.